straight away?
Straight away, looking at what we've seen with the AXA SuperValue, the loyalty bills, Electric Ireland, and I think Senaca now have actually come on to say that some of their clients are now involved in this. If you have even been remotely involved in this, with credit cards, debit cards, usernames or passwords, my advice would be to cancel the cards immediately. Go through all your social media accounts and change the passwords on that. 99% of people use the same password for logging in and out of the same accounts, Gmail, Hotmail, SuperValue, etc. So if you've used the same password and you have it on other accounts, change it immediately. Because the first thing hackers are going to do is they're going to trawl through those usernames and passwords. They're going to trawl through all the social media accounts, to LinkedIn, Google Gmail, Google Plus, Google Docs, all the accounts they can track. And if they can log into those using those account details, they'll just add to the hack.
Yeah. But tell us this, how did they manage to do it in the first place?
How they managed to break in, we haven't quite worked out yet, and it's still being investigated with regards to how they physically got in. But the data was taken because the data was not encrypted, and also the data that was being kept should never have been kept on file. Credit card data is designed not to be kept. Once you've processed the credit card or a debit card, then that information should be deleted, removed. It's not data to be kept.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, no, because we were talking to a man earlier, Thomas, and he had gone on one of these SuperValue loyalty SuperValue breaks, and he had paid a certain amount. And he said they contacted him, 3 or 4 days before he was due to go on the holiday, looking for money, reminding him that he had to pay the rest of it. And they said, "Oh, we have your details here anyway." You're saying they shouldn't have had those details?
No, they shouldn't have had those details, and they kept the CVV files, which is the 3-pin number at the back of the cards, which again, under data protection laws, technically they shouldn't have done.
But you see,
so all that will come out in further investigations, so it'll be hard to really say more on that.
Yeah, but the difficulty is that we take all these things on face value now. You ring up someone, you go to something like Amazon or something like that, and you give out those numbers because you want to pay for the item, and you think you're how do you know whether you're really secure or not, is what I'm saying.
The first thing you do is you are never ever 100% secure with the internet. Being on the internet is a free range. The first thing you have to remember on the internet, and you have to change your mindset, is it won't happen to me. That's the first thing you have to get out of your head. Yeah. The internet is a thrall of illegal activity. Google is itself in regards to the search engine, but when Google searches the internet, it only searches about less than 3% of the net. The rest is either the deep web, the dark net, cyber criminals. It is filtered with stuff like
What's the dark net?
The darknet is a deep environment that you cannot find with the likes of Google. You have to use programs like Tor to dig down into the darknet as such. It is basically the aspect of cyber criminals. Lately, you might have seen in the news things like the Silk Road that was closed down by the FBI, the online drugs, and so forth.
Yeah.
And these are all exist in the darknet, and these are places you really don't want to be going.
A listener says people should use PayPal.
PayPal is a legitimate payment account. The only problem with PayPal is the hackers have gotten so used to duplicating the site and making it appear on other sites that you have to actually monitor the link, the URL that you're connecting to, verify it, double check that it is going to PayPal and it's not going to PayPal's. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. So everything in regards to the user is to be conscious of the fact that you're online, to be conscious of the attachments that you're clicking on, to be conscious of the person that sent you the email, and if you're even the slightest bit suspicious, do not add personal details to it. Even in the social media side of it, you should never put personal information online that you do not want the world to know, because once it goes on the internet, it's there for life.
But a listener says PayPal and most companies processing bills like Vodafone, they all keep your details. When you go to pay, your details show up with XXX in the last 4 digits of the card. Does that mean they keep them?
They keep a certain part of it. They shouldn't be keeping all of it. And this is one of the biggest problems that's coming with the data protection. Now, the new EU laws that are coming into play next year should change all of that with regards to how data is being kept, how data has been stored, data has been protected. Now, you can look at PayPal. PayPal probably have 126-bit encryption on that database, which would make it practically impossible to crack, even if the hackers got it. It makes it very, very difficult. The problem with loyalty bills was that there was no encryption at all. And the username and the passwords are just in hash format. Hash format is easy enough to crack if you've got multiple programs out there to do it. So something that's not encrypted, taking candy from a baby from a hacker's perspective.
Okay. Now, say you have an option of using your Visa card or your debit card for a transaction. Are you better off using a Visa card?
It won't really make much difference because the same laws go over in both.
But will you automatically get refunded if there is a hack-in onto your card if it is a debit card?
You will if you can prove to the bank that it was not through your own negligence.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is proving that it wasn't my negligence that put me there in the first place.
Would the bank consider it to be negligent of you if you went on to an account on the internet and you were hacked that way?
Well, to be honest, that's an argument you'd have to have with your bank.
In your experience, what would happen?
Well, again, you're asking me about a bank's standards of bodies, and I can't answer that. From a hacker's perspective, I would be able to tell you that a bogus website can be created from any particular website that will allow someone to steal your details.
Yeah.
So from a user's perspective, you have to be conscious of where you're going. And that's where a lot of users get caught. They go to a website that looks like Bank of Ireland, it's telling them it's Bank of Ireland, but when they put in their credentials, they get a redirect back to the original, and they're asked a second time. And they're wondering, why was I asked a second time?
Yeah.
Because the first time was a bogus website that has now stolen your details.
Yeah. But when I go on, say, to AIB, and when I go to personal login, I tap the personal login, and then another window comes up, and I have to tap the personal login again. They're exactly the same thing. Is that a kind of an extra precaution the bank uses?
Yes, it's a two-way authentication process within the bank, and the banks are really pushing to get all of that type of security in play.
Yeah.
90% of the time, if you're going it through the web and you've gone in yourself directly, you will get to AIB. Now, there's a hack around that. If your DNS servers on your local computer have been compromised, then you could end up going to a hacker's website, but that's quite heavy hacking if you were going down that road. Really, it's be careful of an email you might get with an attachment or a bogus link telling you your bank is requiring your details. Please click on the link below. It's things like that people have to be aware of. It's getting phone calls from your bank telling you we're looking for your personal details.
You won't ever get
social engineer. You will never get those. Microsoft ringing you up telling you a problem with your computer. You will never get that. Everything to do with those type of calls are bogus. They're designed to...
They're all criminals, yeah.
Everything is a criminal. Be very careful sitting in coffee shops, accessing your banking or accessing any of your social accounts.
Oh, right, because of Wi-Fi, is it?
Wi-Fi. Open Wi-Fi, you get them free everywhere these days. Everyone's off free Wi-Fi. The problem with free Wi-Fi is if I am sitting at the end of the room on the same network and you're accessing your Gmail, your Hotmail, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, your social media, I can steal all of those details just by sitting with a laptop on the same network.
It brings a whole new dimension to having a cup of coffee.
Doesn't it just? I mean, there are tools out there that are just click and start. Subterfuge is one of them. It's designed as a hack. It's designed, from my perspective as a penetration tester for Senaca Shield, we use the tools for penetration testing, showing social engineering attacks, showing companies where the holes in their network are and how they can get hacked so that we can fix those holes. But someone malicious doing it can do it, steal all your details, and could be doing it for weeks, gathering information on you before they get what they're looking for.
All right, thank you very much, Liam O'Connor, for telling us about it. Thank you.
No problem at all. I appreciate it for having me on.
Your Wish Tip today.